Breaking tonight, from the Friday night frying pan to the Monday night fire. The Clinton campaign now dealing with not only a new investigation by the FBI, but also with new allegations that the campaign manager lied to the country and the candidate cheated at a key debate. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It isn't just the emails, folks. For the second time in a single month now, we are hearing new reports that former acting DNC chair and former CNNer Donna Brazile was feeding questions to the Clinton campaign ahead of Democratic town hall debates. On top of that, we're now hearing that Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook had a close relationship with the man who engineered a series of dirty tricks on the campaign trail after Mook went on national TV to say he didn't even know this guy. And we haven't even begun going over the new headlines regarding the FBI's stunner on Friday, its decision to put out Mrs. Clinton's email investigators back to work. And there are many of them. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Anna Napolitano is here on that, along with Harvard Law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz. But we begin with our chief intelligence correspondent, Catherine Herridge, with the very latest on where we are in this investigation. Catherine?
Megyn, tonight the FBI is sifting through thousands of emails after forensic specialists at the Bureau developed a software program to exploit the data and identify records relevant to the Clinton case. We learned today that in early October, New York FBI agents working the sexting investigation stumbled across emails from Anthony Weiner's estranged wife, Clinton aide Huma Abedin. FBI headquarters here in Washington was notified. We don't know why it took another 3 weeks for FBI Director James Comey to send Friday's letter to Congress. What we have confirmed is that the New York agents needed additional approvals to expand their search beyond the sexting allegations after the review found multiple hits for the Clinton server and State Department records. With Sunday's search warrant, agents can now read the contents of those emails. Meantime, a source close to Weiner's legal team tells Bret Baier that they believe the laptop was used to back up Abedin's smartphone contacts. And in the process, it backed up all of her emails, including those from Secretary Clinton's tenure at the State Department. Abedin told the FBI in April that she routinely sent State Department emails like this one from Clinton to her personal Yahoo account, where it was easier to print than the clumsy State Department system. And in a separate deposition with Judicial Watch, Abedin swore under oath that she never deleted any emails and that she searched every device that could possibly hold government records. That sworn declaration tonight is now in question. The Justice Department sent this letter to Capitol Hill late today, pledging to make every resource available to expedite the review before Election Day. But with the number of records, that does seem to be a long shot, Megyn.
Catherine, good to see you.
Sure.
Joining me now, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Anna Napolitano. So now it looks like Huma had a shared computer with Anthony Weiner.
Right.
She had forwarded a bunch of documents she never should have forwarded from Hillary Clinton's server to her Yahoo account, because no one's Yahoo account has ever gotten hacked.
Right.
And then magically forgot about it when she came under questioning by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Right, as well as under oath in the Freedom of Information Act case where the deposition was ordered by a federal judge, the lawsuit by Judicial Watch. Look, if the FBI had been permitted by the Justice Department to seat a grand jury and therefore had subpoena power, they more likely than not would have subpoenaed Huma Abedin's mobile device and would have seen the trigger in there that automatically forwarded to herself every email she received, whether from Mrs. Clinton or anybody else.
Unbelievable.
They didn't know about
Yahoo.
it.
Yahoo's had it.
Exactly.
Yahoo email account has had our state secrets.
Didn't know about it until they stumbled upon it when they were looking at her husband's laptop for reasons that we understand.
Okay, so they didn't, and they're looking to see whether there are state secrets in there, whether there's classified information in there.
Well, it's interesting. The affidavit to induce the search warrant that they gave to a federal judge in New York City on Sunday night, 2 days after Director Comey sent a letter about what he hadn't seen, which caused all this uproar that I've been very critical of. That affidavit targets Huma. It doesn't target Hillary Clinton. It says we're concerned that she may have lied to us.
More and more, that's the reporting, that there may not be such bad news for Hillary in here, but there may be very bad news for Huma Abedin.
Right.
But when you're pointing out that Comey's letter on Friday, that got everybody in such a tizzy, like, wait, what? He's reopening the investigation. There's 9 days or whatever it was to go to the election. You say he shouldn't have sent it, among other reasons, because he didn't know what was in the emails. And we all, I think, were surprised that he hadn't obtained a warrant yet
Right.
to see what was in the emails. What's so wrong about that? He saw that there were thousands of them. He was told by his guys they related to the Hillary Clinton investigation.
Because the FBI does not give progress reports on criminal cases. It is not an
But he
agency,
promised Congress he would update them.
But it was a promise that he oughtn't have made and that would never be kept because he is not obliged. In fact, it is a violation of Department of Justice and FBI policy for him to give such a progress report. It creates a false impression of a snapshot of evidence. It's like Kafka and the trial. Mrs. Clinton doesn't know what's in there, and there's clouds hanging over her
this could be
because
nothing.
he blabbed about it.
Your point is this could be a nothing burger, and it's already been hung around her neck.
My
Hillary's
point
neck.
is that he should have unleashed the FBI to go wherever the evidence takes them without telling anybody that he was doing it and given the evidence to the Justice Department. His is a fact-finding investigative agency that he runs. He doesn't answer to the Congress. He doesn't answer to a congressional committee. He answers only to the DOJ.
But he was asked before the House Oversight Committee whether he would reopen the Clinton investigation if he discovered new information that was relevant and substantial, and he said he believed we certainly would look at that. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Reportedly, he felt the Bureau's reputation was on the line, and now we actually have a theory as to another reason why he did it. Judge, good to see you.
Of course.
We're going to get into that now. So we are also investigating a possible civil war brewing in Washington after reports surfaced that the DOJ tried to stop the FBI from looking into the Clinton Foundation. Yet another mess in this election. The Wall Street Journal broke this story earlier under the headline, FBI in internal feud over Hillary Clinton probe. And Ed Henry has the new details live from Washington. Ed?
That's right, Megyn. Questions about whether a top FBI official told agents to halt this probe of the Clinton Foundation. They were looking into potential financial crimes. This comes as there were new WikiLeaks revelations today about that foundation. Despite Hillary Clinton repeatedly saying the focus should be on good works around the world, one email showed her top campaign strategist Joel Benenson told colleagues in 2015 he was dealing with, quote, brush fires over the foundation and they should finally cut off foreign donors. 8 days later, Bill Clinton's top aide wrote to John Podesta cryptically, quote, foreign government donors, all the money is in. As for the FBI investigation of all this, the Wall Street Journal, as you say, reporting, quote, others further down the FBI chain of command, however, said agents were given a much starker instruction on the case, stand down. When agents questioned why they weren't allowed to take more aggressive steps, they said they were told the order had come from the deputy director, Mr. McCabe. That's Andrew McCabe. You remember him, now the deputy director of the FBI. People close to him deny he ever issued a stand-down order, but he was already under fire because campaign finance records show the PAC of a close Clinton friend, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, donated nearly $500,000 to the 2015 state Senate campaign of Dr. Jill McCabe, who's married to that FBI official. She lost anyway, and all involved have denied any improper influence on these various FBI investigations.
Ow, ow, ow.
It makes your head hurt, doesn't
I don't
it?
know what the hell you just said. Just like, can you bottom line? So McCabe, I get the part, this was reported last week. McCabe's second in command at the FBI. The wife runs for office in Virginia,
state office in Virginia.
She
Terry
magically gets a
McAuliffe.
big donation from a huge Hillary supporter who happens to be the governor of Virginia. Totally unrelated. But Clintons had no
And
idea.
now
They had
agents are saying,
they had no idea.
Right,
Okay.
and now agents are saying, look, we
But
got a
forget
stand-down
that.
order.
We understand that. What's the separate thing about the Clinton Foundation and McCabe?
So they're saying that FBI agents are saying that they were given a stand-down order. Stop investigating the Clinton Foundation.
By McCabe?
And that it came from McCabe. People around McCabe say he never issued any order. He wanted to get to the bottom of what was really going on at the Clinton Foundation, and that people are just trying to tie the campaign finance donations to this and blame everything on him. So nobody knows the truth. I think the bottom line, when you ask the bottom line, the FBI is in full revolt right now. It's a mess. This is an agency that's supposed to be sorting all this stuff out. Instead, here we are almost a week before the election, and it's in chaos.
Wow. Ed, thank you.
Good to see you.
I'm getting it's getting a little bit more clear. Were you with me? Was I what? Let's see if we can go one step further. Joining me now, former House Intelligence Committee Chairman and Trump Campaign National Security Advisor Pete Hoekstra, and former Deputy Assistant to President Bill Clinton and co-founder of Third Way, Matt Bennett. Good to see you both. Congressman, let me start with you. I mean, the takeaway seems to be something funny is up at the FBI. It kind of stinks. We don't want to falsely impugn McCabe, who one presumes is serving his country honorably, but the evidence seems to be pointing in the direction of a red flag where he sits.
Well, I think you really got a couple of red flags here. You've got him at the FBI with McCabe, whose wife, whose wife's campaign got the $500,000, McCabe should have recused himself and not been part of the process in terms of decision making, either here on the Clinton Foundation or on the Clinton emails.
He wasn't in charge when the donation was made, however. He was not overseeing the Clinton email investigation at that time.
That is absolutely correct. But as that process moved forward, he did move into the decision-making process
But his wife already lost.
towards the later end of. Pardon?
His wife already lost at that point.
Yeah, but the thing is, at one point in time, they had gotten $500,000, and that had, hey, I've raised funds, and you remember the people who give you $500,000.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
That's a
the
big
other
old
the
number.
other person that should have. Yeah, the other person that should have recused herself through this process is Loretta Lynch. Her name comes up repeatedly in both of these investigations. This is a person that was appointed by Bill Clinton when he was president to be a district attorney. This is a person that met with Bill Clinton on the tarmac at a Phoenix airport as both of these investigations were going on.
That was coincidental.
And this is the person. Yeah, coincidental. And this is also the person that was mentioned in the New York Times report as being considered to be the next Attorney General if Hillary Clinton won this race.
Okay.
They both should have recused themselves and turned it over to the other professionals at the FBI and at the
Matt,
Justice Department.
Let's just start broad. What's your take on this?
So look, Megyn, almost everything the Congressman just said is conjecture taken from anonymous sources who are warring with each other, as Ed Henry made clear, in the newspaper, both in the New York Times when there was conjecture about Loretta Lynch being reappointed as Attorney General, and in the Wall Street Journal today with the story about the FBI. It is a bad week for the FBI where you have people leaking anonymously to the newspaper on both sides of every single issue. You got one side saying there's this misconduct, the other side saying no, there isn't. There's people impugning the integrity of the deputy director of the FBI with zero evidence.
Well, it's not right. They have nothing hard, against him. It's just circumstantial. It's like, really, should they have taken $500,000 from Terry McAuliffe, who's a well-known operative of the Clintons, even though he's governor of Virginia? He's their guy, and then gone on to oversee any investigation having to do with Hillary. I see the congressman's point, don't you, that perhaps Mr. McCabe should have recused himself. We're showing Comey, but it's his second in command, from that investigation and from any investigation having to do with Hillary.
Well, look, I really don't know enough about how the FBI operates to understand when recusal is necessary, but I will tell you this. Terry McAuliffe's goal in life back then was to get the Senate back for Democrats. He was being blocked in his #1 ambition, which was being blocked by the Virginia Senate Republicans, and it was like a 1 or 2 seat majority, and that was a seat that he thought he could win, and he raises prolific amounts of money. So I am not the least bit surprised that he put that kind of money into a race.
Even that kind, because I mean, listen, you're the expert, not me, but they say the 500,000 beans is like, that is a lot in any race, never mind a state race like hers.
It is, but I think, as you pointed out, she lost, so maybe it wasn't enough. State Senate races can be pretty expensive in very expensive media markets. But the point is, Terry McAuliffe wasn't thinking about what the deputy director of the FBI might or might not be investigating. He was thinking, I got to get the Senate back. It had nothing whatsoever to do with what her husband did for a living.
Okay, you've heard from the prosecution and the defense, and now we just let the case rest for this evening anyway, and the viewers shall decide whether there's some funny business going on with the investigations of the Clintons. Great to see you both.
Thanks, Megyn.
Great, thank you.
Well, ever since Director Comey dropped the bombshell on Friday, leading Democrats have taken turns attacking the FBI director, the one they loved so much back in July. So why was the White House defending Mr. Comey this afternoon? We'll speak with law professor Alan Dershowitz about that next. Plus, for the second time in a single month, leaked emails appear to show Donna Brazile giving the Clinton campaign an unfair advantage heading into a presidential debate, the primaries, that is. So what does Ms. Brazile have to say about that tonight? And what about what she told me on this broadcast in front of all of you just 12 days ago? Don't miss our investigation still ahead. Where did you get it?
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false. What you're telling the American people,
email.
Well, Podesta's emails were stolen. You're so interested in talking about stolen
So you
material.
deny it?
From the world headquarters of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
8 days to go. It feels like we're going to make it. Like 8 days. We can handle that. And Hillary Clinton and loyal Democratic allies are wasting no time condemning FBI Director James Comey over his decision to take a look at this new evidence in her email scandal. Here's this little sample.
I call it an October betrayal of long-standing FBI protocol.
Director Comey made a great mistake. We all make mistakes, but this is a grave mistake.
Mr. Comey really needs to come forward and explain why he took this unprecedented step.
The Director Comey sent this unprecedented letter shortly before the election when he doesn't even know what the information is. That's disturbing.
In fact, it's not just strange, it's unprecedented, and it is deeply troubling.
So with dozens of top Democrats taking the chance to attack Director Comey, it got some attention when the White House today said this.
The president believes that Director Comey is a man of integrity, he's a man of principle, and he's a man of good character. These are the traits that led the president to select him to be the director of the FBI, and these are tough questions. And so it's a good thing that he's a man of integrity and character to take them on.
Joining me now, Alan Dershowitz, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and author of Electile Dysfunction, a guide for unaroused voters. And there are many of them. Professor, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks.
So first, let me just get your take on Comey and whether he did the right thing.
Well, I think he is a man of integrity. I think the president got it exactly right. He's a man of great integrity, and he is going to be criticized, and he has been criticized by legal scholars, by Republicans, by a former attorney general. I think he did the right thing by making a statement. I think his statement was wrong. What he should have said is this: I don't know what's in these emails. I haven't seen them. The Fourth Amendment precludes any of us from looking at them. I'm going to look at them now. But don't infer anything. Don't change your vote based on my announcement. It is a technical announcement designed to inform Congress. But if anybody infers anything from the content of those emails, they are making a serious mistake. He should have said that. He should say it now, because he's been misunderstood.
We don't expect any statement from Director Comey at all between now and Election Day. And this whole process is going to take months to play out.
And let's remember, too, we all trust Comey. I do. He's a man of great integrity. But remember who the building is named after. J. Edgar Hoover. Would we want this precedent established by Comey to be employed by a J. Edgar Hoover in the future? Remember, anything the FBI director does becomes precedent. And what he's done poses a dangerous precedent by an FBI director who might actually want to put his thumb.
I trust Comey as a recovering lawyer who's been told by lawyers with Republican and Democratic backgrounds for years that he's a straight shooter.
He is.
And that he calls them like he sees them, and irrespective of politics. Let's just talk about this, though. So let's just say she gets indicted, which is a far step away from where we are right now.
It's not going to happen.
But people are wondering how it would affect the election. If she gets indicted, let's say she wins on Tuesday, and then she gets indicted, can she still be president?
Yes, but let's turn it around. Let's assume she loses on Tuesday, and then on December 1st, Comey announces there's nothing in any of these mails. There's simply duplicates. He becomes the villain of the piece. He should not be having an impact either way. What I think happened is he saw that Hillary was so far ahead that he said to himself, let me err on the side of disclosing this. It's not going to change the election.
Oh, really?
Because
I don't want to be criticized.
Enter? Well, I think his own self-reputation entered. I don't want to be criticized by Trump after he loses the election. What he didn't realize is that his very statement could turn the election around, give it to Trump, and then if he finds nothing, he's in trouble. Let me tell you what else is wrong. The Clintons are handling this wrong. By criticizing him, they are putting unconscious pressure on him to find something. Because if, in fact, he finds nothing, he'll look terrible. So he's going to look very hard to find something.
She should act like she doesn't care. She should be like, yeah, it's fine.
Absolutely right. She should say, look, disclose everything, put it all out, but you never benefit from criticizing the director of the FBI.
Do you believe that Huma Abedin is just shocked to find 650,000 documents or emails on her home computer that she just allegedly didn't know about them?
I think both she and her lawyers had an obligation to check that and find that out when she got a subpoena to produce the information, was asked to produce it, and she and her lawyers said they produced everything. It was at least negligent for them not to have checked on a home computer that was her husband's and that easily could have been used for backups, especially she knew she used it to back up some material. So maybe she didn't know, but she should have known, and her lawyer should have known.
They basically say that if Hillary Clinton were elected on next Tuesday and then indicted and then convicted before inauguration, Tim Kaine would then be the president. If she gets indicted and not convicted until after the inauguration, there's really no questions. It's not clear whether you can pardon yourself, but she's probably in the clear at that point.
She can't pardon herself. She's not going to be indicted. It's more likely that Trump will be indicted for his Trump University, for his relationships with Russia, for
He's
all of that.
He's not going to be indicted
for
any
not.
of that.
And that's my point. Neither of them are getting indicted. Nobody gets indicted for what they've done.
Maybe I'm getting it. Are you a twin? Am I?
No. Nobody's getting indicted for emails. You have to.
Okay.
You know, this is a new thing. Nobody knew how to deal with it. So I think that what I'm worried about is that the election could be influenced by what Comey said.
We're going to get into that in just a bit and take a look at what the polls are telling us on that front. Professor, always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Maybe the Tea Party groups are going to get indicted. They usually are the ones who find themselves in the crosshairs, right? Okay, also tonight, new controversy over Donna Brazile after it appears the CNN contributor and the acting DNC chair right now has been caught sharing CNN debate questions with the Clinton campaign for a second time. Those are the two we appear to know about. Here's how she responded after the first time.
Jake Tapper came out and said this was unethical. That's your own colleague at CNN. It's not Megyn Kelly. Who gave you that question?
We'll show you how she's responding tonight when Tucker Carlson and Richard Fowler join us next. Plus, Howie Kurtz weighs in on what it means for CNN and what their obligation is now. Stay tuned.
Channel 115.
Breaking tonight, new controversy for Donna Brazile as the interim DNC chair and former CNN contributor finds herself once again accused of stacking the deck for Hillary Clinton. She's accused of cheating. This is the second time and the second event where Ms. Brazile appears to have fed the Clinton campaign insider information in advance of a debate. Here's a little of what happened when I interviewed her about the first incident.
Where'd you get it?
Clear.
Where did you get it?
First of all, what information are you providing to me that will allow me to see what you're talking about? Everybody
You got the WikiLeaks released a March 12th Podesta email showing you messaging the Clinton campaign with the exact wording of a question asked at the March 13th CNN TV1 town hall debate.
Kelly,
where did you get it?
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false. What you're telling the American people, well, Podesta's emails were stolen. You're so interested in talking about stolen
material. So you deny it?
You're like a thief that want to bring into the night the things that you found that was in the gutter.
Jake Tapper came out and said this was unethical. That's your own colleague at CNN. It's not Megyn Kelly. Who gave you that question?
Hey, Megyn, once again, I've said it, and I've said it on the record, and I'll say it on the record, and I'll keep saying it on the record. I am not going to try to validate falsified information.
Your email to the Clinton camp said, sometimes I receive the questions in advance. And
you know
CNN is saying Roland Martin gave them to you or someone at TV1. And they were provided to Hillary before that town hall.
Well, anybody who knows me, and there are a number of your colleagues as well, they know me very well. I know how I play it. CNN has never provided me with questions, absolutely ever, nada.
Well, when you said so, from time to time I get the questions in advance, what were you referring to? Because in that email you offered the exact question that one of the moderators, Roland Martin, then proposed the next day.
So my reference back to you, ma'am, with all respect, and I respect you greatly.
And I respect you too.
The validity of those emails, if I can only tell you one thing, because as you know, this whole episode is under criminal investigation, but I could just tell you one thing. A lot of those emails, I would not give them a time of the day. I've seen so many doctored emails.
Today, Ms. Brazile is again denying any wrongdoing. In moments, we'll be joined by Tucker Carlson and Richard Fowler. We'll ask them if this latest development supports Donald Trump's claim that the system is rigged. And we'll also speak with Howie Kurtz about the fallout here for CNN. But we begin with Trace Gallagher reporting from our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
Megyn, now it appears that one day before the Democratic primary debate on March 6th in Flint, Michigan, on CNN, Donna Brazile apparently wrote to Clinton campaign chair John Podesta and campaign communications advisor Jen Palmieri, quoting, "One of the questions directed to HRC tomorrow is from a woman with a rash. Her family has lead poison, and she will ask what, if anything, will Hillary do as president to help the people of Flint?" And here's the question that was asked the very next night to both Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Watch.
Will you make a personal promise to me right now that as president in your first 100 days in office, you will make it a requirement that all public water systems must remove all lead service lines throughout the entire United States?
A little too coincidental for CNN, which now says it severed ties with Donna Brazile back on October 14th and, quote, never gave Brazile access to any questions. We are completely uncomfortable with what we have learned about her interactions with the Clinton campaign while she was a CNN contributor. Brazile herself continues denying that she gave the Clinton campaign questions and says that she treated the Democratic candidates equally. And remember, at the time, she was the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, which is not supposed to back candidates during the primary. But today's response from Brazile is downright tepid compared to the defense when she was first accused of tipping off the Clinton campaign earlier this month. That's when she claimed persecution and reportedly indicated the Russians may have doctored emails that she apparently sent to the Clinton campaign before the March 12th primary debate, also on CNN. Quoting from them, "From time to time, I get the questions in advance. Here's one that worries me about HRC." Brazile then goes on to warn the Clinton campaign to be prepared for a question about the death penalty, which Hillary Clinton supports, but that Clinton answered at length during the debate. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now, Tucker Carlson, editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller and co-host of Fox and Friends on the weekends here at Fox, and Richard Fowler, who's a Fox News contributor and nationally syndicated radio talk show host. Man, you know, can I tell you, when this story first broke, I defended CNN and I defended Donna Brazile, saying I just cannot imagine either one of them doing this. I can't imagine. It would be the height of unethical behavior. And yet the facts appear to be proving my initial defense of them wrong. And there's nowhere for them to go with it, Tucker. There's nowhere for them to go.
She may respect you, but she was lying right to your face, as we now know. I mean, let's just stipulate, by the way, at the outset, that whether or not you agree with WikiLeaks, what they do, even if you're appalled by WikiLeaks, I don't think there's a single piece of data they've ever released that has been proven to be false, a fabrication. And it's the same in this case. She did this. CNN knows she did this, and consider CNN's response. They're, quote, uncomfortable with this. She stole information that may, in the end, have influenced the outcome of a presidential nominating contest that was close and tough fought, as you remember, at the time. And she weighed in on one side with the help of information that CNN had. What's CNN's response? So I reached out to Brian Stelter, who hosts their media show over there today, and he's always on his high horse about some wrongdoing in the media. No real response from him, and that has basically been the response from CNN. Who's watching the watchdog? That's the meta question here, and the answer, of course, is nobody. It's unwilling to police itself as a network, and I think that's really a problem.
You know, Richard, the problem is that it undermines the integrity of the whole system, and it makes people wonder whether, you know, what other cheating has there been that we don't know about, and whether this continued. Did this continue thereafter? Might this have gone on during, you know, into the general election? I mean, you tell me whether this makes you uncomfortable.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think this is very, very messy. And I agree with Tucker on the point that I think CNN really should be, pointing the mirror at themselves and figure out how is it possible for one of your contributors to get the question when in a network like this, nobody got the questions, right? And so I think that needs to be said. But here's the larger problem, and I think the problem for Donald Trump. Yes, there is a problem. Yes, this is problematic. But with that being said, Donald Trump's idea that the media is somehow coordinating with all these, states, the Board of Elections to rig the election seems to be false.
Yeah.
What the media is doing, besides what we've seen with this email, most of the time, Donald Trump is putting his foot in his mouth. The media is pointing it out, and he's blaming the media for him putting his foot in his mouth.
Okay,
and that's problematic.
And we've covered that at length, but this is a distinct and serious problem, Tucker. And I mean, I know this is an old horse, but can you imagine if this were a Republican who had been fed a question by Fox News you know, the different reaction we'd be seeing in the media?
Well, I was standing about 5 feet away from you when you did that interview with Donna Brazile, whom I like, by the way. I live here. I know her. And my jaw was open, as was the jaw of everyone watching. October 19th, we were in one of the debates, as I remember. And I remember thinking, how can that not be on the front page of the New York Times? She has no response at all. She accuses you of persecuting her. She kind of half quotes the Bible and then sort of stumbles off to another interview. I'm thinking, this is the head of one of our two political parties giving a nonsensical answer, lying in the most transparent possible way, and basically nobody picked it up. It's like, yeah, whatever. She just kind of went on. Do you know what I mean? Like, somebody should be saying,
extraordinary moment. But Richard, can she stay as acting chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee?
Oh, listen, I know Donna very well, just like Tucker. I know her personally. I've known her for almost a decade. What I will say is that she, you know, I think it's very sad that the Russians have hacked these emails. But I do think, here's the thing. Donna is, and I think anybody on either side of the aisle can tell you. You talk to Karl Rove, will tell you the same thing. Donna is one of the best political operatives out there, and I'm happy that she's at the helm of our party going into what's going to be a very tough election.
She's a lovely person. I mean, listen, this is my job, right? I get paid to call this stuff out, so I did. But I had her dead to rights, and one wonders whether the reason she was so defensive in that interview was because she knew it wasn't the only time, Richard. And you tell me, you're fine with her, notwithstanding the fact that she appears to have cheated in 2 debates, staying as the head of the DNC.
Well, like I said, I think there has to be, the question needs to be asked is, how is it possible for a political operative to get a question? That's the main question here, and I think me and Tucker agree on that point. With that being said, when it comes to running the Democratic Party, when it comes to winning this election, which is likely we're going to do in 8 days, I trust nobody more than Donna Brazile to get the job done.
Well, I'm sure she gets the job done all right. Look, she got the one nominated she wanted, and she's ahead in the polls. The question is, how'd they get there? Richard, good to see you. Tucker, you too.
Because of the people, not because of the emails.
Well, now because of that behavior, we have to question that. Good to see you both. Goodbye. As Trace mentioned, we reached out to CNN. We were given a statement that reads in part, quote, on October 14th, CNN accepted Donna Brazile's resignation as a CNN contributor. It goes on to say, quote, CNN never gave Brazile access to any questions, prep material, attendee lists, background information, or meetings in advance of a town hall or a debate. Howie Kurtz is host of Media Buzz on Fox News. Howie used to work at CNN. I don't want to be the first to run to condemn CNN. I don't know how she got the questions, Howie, but they need to look into this.
Look, you used the right word in saying this was cheating. Donna Brazile betrayed the network where she worked for many years, and it gives me no joy to say that as somebody who's also known her for a long time. But CNN has handled this poorly. I don't believe anyone at CNN fed these questions in advance to Donna Brazile. CNN suggested it came from TV1, the partner in that town hall where Donna Brazile got those advanced questions. But here's the thing. More than 2 weeks ago, CNN basically forced Donna Brazile out. They're calling it a resignation. We all know what happened. This is the first we're hearing about it with the second WikiLeaks dump. CNN talks about transparency. Why did CNN not get out in front of this, say that we're parting company with Donna Brazile, say we're conducting an investigation, as opposed to, it kind of looks like CNN was more interested in protecting its image than in being transparent about its journalism.
After that first dust-up, it was, okay, we partnered with, you know, TV1 and Roland Martin. Not to impugn Roland Martin. We don't know whether he did it or TV1 did it, but the CNN was certainly kind of like, look over there. And now this second one happened in a debate that was only CNN. There was no other partner. And if she got the question, you know, the question is, where'd she get it from? And I'm sure, you know, CNN should be out there defending its journalists. You know, Anderson Cooper hosted that debate, and Don Lemon participated. It should be defending its journalists. And it should be saying, I mean, if nobody gave her the question, how'd she access it? Here we have systems. You could go back and check. You could find out when somebody's, you know, ID logged into the system and where they went when they were in there. So if that's what they're suggesting, we should know that. I mean, the journalists over there at CNN should be demanding that right now.
Yeah, CNN should be horrified at this turn of events, to use Jake Tapper's term, one of the few who spoke out there, and should investigate and should go public with the results of that investigation and should try to you know, vindicate its reputation by identifying who was responsible. It's not fair to tarnish the whole network with what Donna Brazile did in helping Hillary Clinton, but that's where it stands now. And to not even come forward and say, oh, by the way, she's not coming back here. And ABC also suspended its contributorship with Donna Brazile when she became acting head. We'll see what ABC does.
Yeah, and good for them, too. I mean, it's, you know, it's hard because she seems like a lovely person. But
she was vice chair of the DNC at the same time she was working for CNN. That was a conflict, as it turns out, that could not, it was a problem that could not be squared.
Good to see you, Howie.
My pleasure.
You know, these stories, it brings you no joy to cover, but when people behave badly, what are you going to do? Anyway, we'd be happy to speak with her again to see what the update is on this second story. Well, with all these challenging new headlines swirling around the Clinton campaign, what could it mean for polls that are already getting tighter? Steyerwalt's here to discuss. Plus, after we heard Democratic operatives bragging about starting violence at Trump rallies, the Clinton campaign said they had no idea who these guys were, the guys who wind up getting fired. But tonight there's a new twist to this story.
Be able to help.
1 week from tomorrow, and the race is getting tighter. Roughly 2 weeks ago, the Real Clear Politics average of polls showed Mrs. Clinton enjoying a 7-point lead. Today, that is down to roughly 3 points. What does that mean? Steyerwalt's here to tell us what it could mean. Does it mean she's going to win?
No, it means she's winning. It also means that about 22 or 23 million people have already voted. The early voting is going on. And I have some very great news for you.
Tell me.
The first polls close in 7 days, 23 hours, and 13 minutes. You're almost home.
The early vote, how many have voted?
22 to 24 million people.
Both sides comes on to say, we're winning that. Do we know what's true?
We know Democrats are doing pretty well. We know that Republicans in places like Nevada are starting to catch up a little bit. But overall, if I had to give the nod to how many registered voters from which parties are doing better, I'd give it to Democrats at this point, especially in North Carolina.
What people want to know whether the FBI announcement on Friday is going to change this race. What's your take?
When you get to the end of the election, people lose their minds. They become the craziness.
We've seen that.
The craziness goes from regular crazy of the election, and especially in this, which has been the most hideous election to which our system has ever subjected the decent citizens of this nation.
Yes.
As we get down to the end, the lunacy of the partisans becomes even frothier, and the eyes bulge out of the head. So they hear Hillary Clinton, and it doesn't just, I'm sending a letter to Congress, and we found some emails that Huma backed up her phone. It's, she's indicted, she's going to prison, it's over, she's in jail now. And that's Friday, and then today it is, Trump's a Putin agent. He's owned by the Kremlin. It's all over. And everybody freaks out. And the answer is these things move among hard partisans. But when we look at the polls, you know what we see?
What?
The stuff with Huma and the Wiener iPhone, the Wiener phone, have certainly increased intensity among hard partisans for Republicans and Democrats, but in the little data that we have, it doesn't move the top line.
What about the Washington Post poll, ABC News? She was ahead 12 points in this tracking poll 8 days ago. Now she's just 3 points ahead.
If we look at an average of delicious and excellent, well-made polls, and we go back 2 weeks ago, she was way up. She was 8, 9 points up, and she starts to give that back. And the reason she was giving it back had nothing to do with this because it hadn't happened yet. She's giving it back because you get closer to the end, and the Republicans were starting to come home for Donald Trump. They were sucking it up, and the resistant Republicans were saying, I hate her too much to vote for her.
Last question. Is there any way November 8th doesn't come and somehow we just get stuck in this weird perpetuity that we do this forevermore?
This is a Black Mirror episode, and we will spend the rest of our lives in that new studio.
In the upside
it's possible.
Down. Okay. All right. Well, I don't feel any better. Thank you, Steyerwalt. Up next, more WikiLeaks. Don't go away.
Fast foodies know the deal.
New details tonight on yet another WikiLeaks email that could reveal troubling connections between the Clinton campaign and folks they're not supposed to be talking to. Trace Gallagher has the latest from L.A. Trace?
Megyn, Bob Creamer is the Democratic consultant caught on the Project Veritas tapes talking about how to stir up violence at Trump rallies. Creamer, who visited the White House 342 times, was also heard on tape discussing his daily conference calls with the Clinton campaign and saying that Hillary Clinton herself approved of his tactics. Now a leaked email appears to link Creamer with Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook. The 2015 email, written by the founder of a progressive group and addressed to a former Clinton campaign aide, says, quote, just wanted to pass along this note I sent to Bob Creamer, who, as you may know, is consulting for the DNC and is close to Robbie Mook. On CNN, Mook was asked if whether the Clinton campaign had any knowledge of professional agitators fomenting violence at Trump rallies. Watch.
These individuals no longer have a relationship with the DNC. They've never had a relationship with the Clinton campaign. And my understanding is the events that are referenced happened, I think, in February of last year. They did not have a contract with the DNC until June.
Except it was 3 months after that June contract he just mentioned when this 69-year-old woman on oxygen claimed she was attacked by a Trump supporter. After the Project Veritas tapes went public, the woman backed off her claim. The Clinton campaign continues to maintain the tapes were edited out of context, although the tapes led to Creamer's resignation and another operative being let go. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. We'll be right back. So are you a doodler? I am a doodler, and people are mocking me for my doodles. Yes, oh, thank you. What do you think, Sean? Hannity's here.
Really good.
It's kind of fancy. Little heart.
Save that for charity. There's a charity.
Really? Does somebody want this?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Highest bidder. It can be yours. Love, hearts, and understanding. Now here's Sean.